Hello everyone, welcome you all. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use properties in SoapUI. So the agenda will be, the first thing we will see what is property in SoapUI and why do we use property. Then we'll see how to create properties at different levels. And finally, we will see how to refer the properties in our test. So first of all, what is property in SoapUI? So properties can be used as variables to store values that can be referred in our testing. So normally when you send your request, we will pass some input, right? And accordingly, we will get some response. And sometimes you have a many request in your test suite and multiple requests need some same kind of input sometimes. And you need to hard code that input in multiple places in every test request. So instead of doing that, we can create a property and we can assign that value, input value to that property. And that property value we can refer in multiple requests. So in that case, we can avoid the hard coding the values. At the same time, we can avoid the duplication, right? So that's the main usage of property. So properties can be used as variables to store values that can be referred in test. And these properties we can define in multiple levels, like project level we can create, test suite level, test case level, and test step level we can create. And now we will see how we can create these properties in our SoapUI, and then I'll show you how to refer these properties in our test request. So let me just open my SoapUI, and here I don't have any projects currently. Now let me import one Soap project. So for that, I have a small URL, visual document. Let me open my browser. And when I open this visual document, which will give you an XML format of our response, right? So this contains multiple web service APIs. Now let us try to import this visual in our SoapUI. Let's go to SoapUI. I'm taking file, new Soap project, and here I'm copying my visual, and here I'll just give football info and just say okay. Now it is trying to import all the APIs from my SoapUI from the visual. So these are all the different requests. We got it, and we need two versions. I'm just deleting the first version. Then, so based on this visual, I'm going to create test suite which contains a multiple test cases. So I'm going to create one test suite and one test case for one request. I'm just taking one of them. Let's say all players with role. So if I just say this request, and here we need to pass team name and role code. So if I pass two inputs, which will give you some response here. So this is just a request. So we need to create our test suite and test case based upon this request. So for that, what you can do is just right click on this visual, and then, so just a moment, and close this windows, right click on this visual. When you do right clicking here, you can see something called generate test suite. Click on the generate test suite, and here one test case for each operation, single test case with one request each operation. So each I'll take one test case for each operation, and here you can select whatever the request you want to take as a test cases. So for now, what I can do is I'm just unselecting all of them, and I'll take one request, all players with roles. So this will create one test case with this request. Now say okay, and then this is the name of the test suite it is giving. So I just have only test suite name and then say okay, done. So now I created one test suite, and which contains all players with role test case. This is my test case. Inside this I have a test steps, and inside this I have only one test step. So if I expand this, this is my request, and here we will get the response. Okay, so here when I pass some data, let's say I need to pass some team name and the role code, and accordingly we will get some response. So this is a simple request and response. I'm taking an example, but before that, let us see how we can create a properties with different data and how we can use those properties inside our request. So instead of hard coding the data here, I will define the properties which contain some values, and then I'll refer those properties inside my request. So let's keep this project one side. Now I'll show you how many levels we can create our properties. And here we have a 4 levels. One is a project level. This is our project level we can create. Suite level property we can create, and this is the test case level property we can create, And also we can create test step level also we can create. So there are 4 different levels we can create a properties, and we can refer those properties in our test. So let me just create some of the property. For example, let us take project level, and in the project level I want to define one property. So for that, what you can do is, and here you can say right click on this. When you right click on the project, or else we can just say double click on the project. When you double click, you will get small window here, and inside this you can see some small tab called properties at the bottom of this window. Just click on the properties, and by default this properties tab is enabled. You no need to click on this. And here you can see plus button, so we need to just click on the plus button, and here you need to define the variable name. So here I'm defining a variable name, let's say MSG. This is my name of the variable, and here I'm giving some value to this. I'll say this is project level message. Okay, so I'm just writing a simple message here, and MSG means which is referring this particular text message. This is a project level message. Now close this. So after that I'm just closing this. So now I have created one variable at a project level, and similarly I'll create one more variable property at the suite level. So let's select the TestSuite and double click. Now this will open another window, and here click on the properties, and here we need to add a new properties. Now click on the plus, and here also I'm saying MSG variable, and here I'm giving value. This is suite level message. I'll say suite level message, and then say can simply say close. And now I created one more variable at the suite level. And now come to test case level. So this is my test case. Now double click on the test case, which will open another window, and here I will create one more property. So to create property, we need to click on this properties tab, and here we need to add a new property. So just click on the plus, and here again I'll say MSG, and here I'm adding one text. This is test case level property, test case level message, and then say close this window. So now I created MSG property at the project level, suite level, test case level. Now I need to create the test steps level. So what I can do is to create a property in the test step level, just double click on the test steps. And now here, go to properties, and message is already created for the test case. Now I need to create the property for the test steps level. So double click on the test steps. I think this is opening the test case. So if you want to create a property at the test step level, we need to add a new step. So right click, add step, and here I'm saying take the properties option. So this is the option we have to take, properties, and you click on the properties and click on OK. And now I need to add properties here at the test step level. So now click on the plus. Here I'm just say MSG, and here I'll say this is a test step level. This is my test step level message, and then close it. So now I created properties at the project level, and then suite level, and then test case level, test step level. So test step in the sense we need to add one more property step, and then here I have defined the value. So now I have defined the properties in the different levels. So how we can access those values from the properties? So for that, what I can do is, before using those properties in our actual request, I'll show you how we can access them using a Groovy script. So for that, what you can do is, inside the steps, I'm going to add a Groovy script or Groovy step. So right click on the test step, let's say add step, and here you can find one option called Groovy script. So select this option and OK, and then it will open a small window. So here you can write our Groovy script. So internally SoapUI will use Groovy, so it supports Groovy language. So here I will write a small piece of code which will access the properties which I have defined at the project level, suite level, test case level, and steps level. So for that, we need to use specific syntax. And if I go to presentation, so if you want to access the property from the project level, we have to use this syntax. We need to say dollar, inside the curly brace we need to add hash project / property name. So this is the syntax which we need to use to access the value from the project level, to access the property which is different from the project level. Similarly, if we want to access the property from the suite level, we need to say slash dollar curly brace hash test to suite and property name. And if it is a test case level, we say test case and property name. If it is a test step level, just say test step name without hash and say property name. So this is the syntaxes we have to use to access the properties from the different levels. Now let us try to use the syntax. Now go to SoapUI, and here I will write some small piece of code, and which is basically Groovy script code. So what I do is here I will just write a simple statement and say context dot expand. So this is a method we have, context dot expand. Here in the single quotations we need to specify the expression. So if you want to access the property from the project level, we need to follow this syntax. So in the double quotations I'll say dollar, and in the curly brace is a hash project hash message. So message is my property variable name. So this is a syntax which we need to use, and this particular statement will give you the value which I have defined for this MSG property. And if you want to print this, we can simply say log dot info and give one space. So whatever value which is given from this property will be displayed by log dot info, right? So now let us execute this. When I run this, which will give you the values. Now you can read this. This is a project level message. Now I am able to access project level property value. And similarly, if I want to access the value from the suite level property, so simply I can say instead of project, and here I'll say test suite, and then slash MSG. So MSG test suite is a level, MSG is my property name. So this will give you the value of the MSG property. So now execute one more time, and we need to clear this every time. So to clear this, I'll say right click clear. Now let us execute. So now I got the two statements. The first one is output of the first statement. This is project level message, and second one is this is a suite level message. So this is capture the value of the property which is defined at the suite level. And similarly, I can access property which is defined at the test case level. So for that, here I can say simply test case, right? So test case slash MSG. So this will give you the value from the test case. Now let's execute. Before that, clear and execute. So now this is written another message. This is the test case level message. So this syntax will capture the value of the MSG property which is defined at the test case level. Now to access the property value which is defined from the step level, test step level. So for that, we need to write syntax like this. So here we should not use hash. I'll say colon dollar, and we created the properties step, right? So we need to have a properties name here, properties, and then hash message. So to access the property which is defined in the step level, we have to just say context.expand, and this particular expression will get you value. So dollar, there is no hash here, just say properties, that is actual test step name slash hash message. This is a property name, and then clear it, and then let me execute once again. So now I got all the values of 4 different properties which you have defined at 4 levels: project level, suite level, test case level, test step level. So this is how we can define the property values or properties in different levels. But here I have just written a Groovy script to access the values of those properties. But actually how we can use this in our real-time request, in SOAP request. So now I'll show you how we can use these properties in our request. Now let me close this. Now let's go to the actual request. So we already created a project, test suite and test case. That is your football API. And this is the actual test case. So when I pass here team name and role code, which will give you response here. So for that, what I can do is I'm just passing team name here, that is Argentina. And I'm passing some role code here called D. So these are the 2 inputs I'm passing in my response. So when I run this, which will give you some response, and if you just look at this response, everywhere you can see team name is Argentina. So the country name is, I think it is a team name, Argentina we have passed. So here you can see team name tag is also have Argentina. So everywhere you can see the Argentina is a team name. And role code I pass D. So everywhere you can see, I think role code is D itself. I don't think the role code is present in the response, but it is internally filter the role. So this is actual response. We got it from this response. So from this request. Now, so here, instead of hard coding this data in my request, I'll create a variables or create a properties, and I will assign these two values to those properties. Then I will refer those properties into my test request. So for that, what I can do is I can create these properties at any level, but we need to follow the proper syntax. Okay, so we have to follow the syntax to access the property values, and we can define the property at the project level or suite level, test suite level, test case level, whichever you want. So now I'm going to create the properties at the test case level. So now I'll show you. You can create any level, but for now I'm just creating test case level. Go to the test case and select this, double click, and you can see previously we created, if I just go to properties, one second, if I just go to properties, MSD property we already created earlier, right? So now I'm going to add two more properties. One is a team name and role code. So okay, just click on plus, and here I say team name, and I'm saying lowercase letters, so I'll say team name, and then value is, I'll say Argentina. And this is one property, and click on one more place, and then here I'll say role ID or role code, and the role code is, I'll say D. So now I have defined two different properties and then close. So I have defined these two properties at the test case level. So when I double click on the test case, you will see under properties, you will see these two properties. So now I'm going to reuse those properties in our request. Now go to our request. So here I want to replace these hardcode values with the properties. So we have defined at the test case level. So we have to use this particular syntax, dollar has test case and property name. So let us replace these hard-coded values with the syntax. So I'll say dollar curly braces, and inside this we have created property at the test case level. So I'll say test case hash, the property name is team name. I'll say team name. So that's it. So we have referring the property value which is defined at the test case level. Now here also we have to do the same thing. So even this role code also we have created the test case level. So from the test case, the property name is, I'll say role code. Done. So once you specify this, now let's execute, run this test. So now we have it get some data. So something is went wrong. I think test case team name and role code. So let us cross check once again. So have you properly passed test case team name or not? Okay, so we just go to the test case level, double click on test case, under properties we say team name, and cross check once again exactly we have given correctly or not. So in the test case level, okay, so yeah, so I think team is a T is an uppercase character. So here we have given lowercase. I can simply say, okay, so still it is fine. So I can simply say team name, copy this, paste it over here. Okay, so we forgot something here in the syntax. We forgot to put the hash. So here we miss hash. Okay, so dollar hash test case, again one more hash, and team name. So here also dollar hash test case, one more hash, role code. So perfect, fine. So now let me execute again. So now we got the response. Now we can just look at here. We got all the team names are Argentina and display, and role code is not part of our response, but it is just using for filter purpose. Okay, so this is how we need to use properties in our request, and based on this we get the response. And you have a multiple request, so wherever you want to refer the team name and role code, you can just use these expressions wherever you want. And tomorrow, if the team name and role code, if you want to modify, just directly go to the test case level and modify them in one place, and that will be affected in all requests or all the tests. So that is the main usage of using the properties in our SoapUI. Okay, so this is how we can define the properties at multiple levels: project level, suite level, test case level, and test steps level. And using Groovy script also, we can access the property values. And if you want to use those property values, we can just use the syntax in our request. Okay, so that's all about property concept in SoapUI. So thanks for watching.